Hello and welcome to another math video to teach you guys some math strategies and some content you will need to be successful in 4th grade and grades to come. So I can compare fractions with same or different denominators. Now we're going to start by looking at our anchor chart, and we're going to go through each one of these to prove how you could compare fractions with all of these different situations here. So the first one we're going to look at is do fractions have the same denominator? If so, just compare the numerators. Okay, so what this is saying is, let's say we have these two fractions here, all right, 2/8 and 4/8. Now what we just read was, do they have the same denominator? Well, they both have 8, so yes. If they have the same denominator, all we have to do is look at the numerator and say, well, which has more pieces in the numerator? Is it a 2 or is it a 4? Well, we know 4 is larger. So this is 4/8 is larger than 2/8 because the numerators we need to compare if the denominators are the same. That one's simple. Let's look at another one though. Our second step is if they have the same numerators. Okay, so let's say we have 1/4 and 1/2. Now, if they have the same numerators, what we need to ask ourselves is, let's go to the denominator. Now the denominator, this is where it gets a little tricky. This is a half and this is a 1/4. Now this half, this denominator tells me how big the pieces are. So I know that here, there's my picture there, and for 1/4, that's what my picture looks like there, okay? This denominator tells me how big the pieces are. Now the trick is, the smaller the denominator, the larger the pieces, okay? So the larger the denominator, the smaller the pieces. It's kind of backwards thinking, but that's kind of how you have to think when you're trying to compare these, okay? So if I were to compare 1/2 and 1/4, I know that 1/2 is bigger because my denominator is smaller, okay? And so what you'd have to do is, if the numerators are the same, let me repeat this, you look at the denominator. Whichever denominator is smaller, that means you have a larger size, and so that denominator would tell you that this side over here is larger. 1/2 is larger than 1/4, okay? Let's look at another situation you could have, and then at the end, we'll walk through one with every step. Let's say you're comparing 3/9, okay, with 2/3, okay? 3/9 with 2/3. So our third step of how you could solve, if they don't have the same denominator, if they don't have the same numerator, then you need to go to step 3, which is we need to see if they have a common multiple in your denominator. So here's a 3 and a 9. So you're first off saying, well, which is smaller, 3 or 9? Well, it's definitely my 3. Then we ask ourselves, can 3 go into 9? Okay? Well, we know it can. We know it can go in 3 times. Okay, so 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, we know that. So what we would have to do is then take this times 3 again. Okay, so we're making a fraction of 9. 2 times 3 is 6. Whatever you do to the bottom, you also have to do to the top. Now we can compare this fraction here with this fraction here because they have the same denominators. Which is larger? 6 or 3? Well, we know it's 6. So that's larger right there, okay? That's how you would create the same denominator. And lastly, sometimes you just get fractions that don't have any common denominator. They don't have the same numerator. They don't have a multiple that's similar. So you just have to kind of figure out what you got to do. And this one, what you're going to have to do is you're going to try to make a common multiple. So I have 4/5 and 3/6. So they don't have the same denominator. They don't have the same numerator. And 5 and 6 are not common multiples. So what we have to do is we have to make a common multiple. Well, this is what we're going to do is we are going to take each factor and multiply by the other. So if I start here, this is 6. I'm going to multiply it by 5 on the top and the bottom. Okay. And then over here, I'm going to take 5, multiply it by 6. That's what I had on the other side, my denominator on the other side. All right. And then we're just going to multiply across. 3 times 6 is 18. 6 times 5 is 30. Okay. 6 times 5 is 30. 4 times 6 is 24. Now we have numbers with a common denominator. They both have 30. And we know if they have a common denominator, just look at the numerators. So which is a larger numerator? Well, we know that the 24 is larger than the 18. So 4/5 is larger than 3/6. All right. Let's just do one, and we'll just walk through each step and kind of see where we land on our fractions, okay? So let's take the fractions 3/5 and 4/7. Kind of some weird ones here. All right, so step 1, do they have the same denominator? Nope. Maybe step 2, do they have the same numerator? Nope. Step 3, is my smaller denominator a multiple of my other denominator? Well, it's not. And then step 4, I'm going to have to create a common multiple by multiplying each denominator by the other one. So if this is a 5, we're going to multiply the 7 by 5. Okay, 4 times 5 is 35. 4 times 5 is 20. Okay, same thing over here. Except since this is 5, we're going to multiply by a 7. 35, so we have the same denominator right now. And 21. Ooh, this was really close. Now if we have the same denominator, which is 35, we look at the numerators, which is larger? 21. So I know 3/5 is larger than 4/7. Thanks for watching.